what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my cerebral lights. It is she, the cerebral diva, and she's back with another episode of You Say What. And in today's episode of You Say What, we're going to be talking about a new song, a very provocative song by Eminem featuring Joyner Lucas, or by Joyner Lucas featuring Eminem, and the song is aptly titled What If I Was Gay? Not what if I were gay, but what if I was gay? Alright, so let's unpack this. I haven't really heard the song in its entirety, so we don't really have a lot to base this video on, but I just thought that it was a really cool and interesting song title, a song title that I'm sure is going to do exactly what they want to do. Like, this is marketing genius. Not quite sure everyone's going to be pumping this in the club or bumping this on the block, but I definitely think that this is a song that people are going to at least want to hear and talk about. Just because it's coming from two, and I'm not really familiar with Joyner Lucas, but I'm just going to assume for the sake of this video that he is heterosexual and that Eminem too is a heterosexual / cisgendered man. And so hearing this song, this hypothetical scenario being posed by two heterosexual men, is something that we have never seen in hip-hop, right? And for me, that alone is tremendous. We've heard a gazillion songs about bees and hoes. We've heard a gazillion songs about cars and jewelry. You know, we've heard countless songs about the quote-unquote hip-hop lifestyle. And about who's the toughest, who's the roughest, how many bullets, how many guns. Like, we've heard that time and time again. At this point, it's redundant. So this is a very interesting song in my opinion, even just simply based on the title. Again, we haven't heard the song in its entirety, but I just wanted to come and talk about the song because in addition to this song, I also recently watched a episode of the D.L. Hughley podcast that featured the comedian T.K. Kirkland. Now, on this particular episode, they were discussing masculinity, toxic masculinity, and Pharrell appearing on the cover of GQ in a dress and how that was diminishing masculinity. And this is just one of those subjects to me. And granted, I'm a very liberal person. You know, I really try to give people the permission and the space to exist as they want to exist and not as I see fit. Like, I don't think that it's my right to dictate to another person or another individual. As long as who they are is not hurting or harming another person, be yourself. Be yourself, be loud, be proud, be individual. I don't really care. It doesn't affect me. I'm not going to lose sleep over your choices. I'm not going to stop and stare. I'm not going to want to be violent against you because of your self-expression. I just have too many good things going on in my life to be consumed by the choices of someone else. And so for that reason, I tend to be a lot more liberal, just because what another person chooses to do simply is not my business. I'm just not that invested in it. And so this episode of the D.L. Hughley show, they weren't challenging him. They were actually referencing an earlier show that T.K. Kirkland was on, The Breakfast Club, where he talked about, what's the football player's name? I'm terrible with athletes. Well, I mean, I have a thing for athletes, but I don't really know their names. Go back and watch the episode of The Breakfast Club. Basically, he was style shaming. He was style shaming this particular athlete because he believed that his appearance was effeminate, and that his effeminate appearance, he was wearing headscarves and just not being traditionally masculine in his attire. And for some reason, T.K. Kirkland was offended by that, and he felt like masculinity was under attack, and that there's this gay agenda that you hear black men in particular talk about quite often, that there's this gay agenda. And you know what I hear when I hear gay agenda? To me, when I hear the term gay agenda, it's really a dog whistle for homophobia. That's really what it is, in my opinion. To me, the gay agenda is the equivalent of Make America Great Again. And let me tell you why I say that. The reason why I draw parallels between this belief that there's a gay agenda and Make America Great Again is because Make America Great Again is really rooted and really steeped in white privilege and white people feeling entitled to live a lifestyle and to have things that they don't feel that the rest of us are entitled to. So for that reason, they want to harken back to an era where there were that they were greater than they are in their eyes currently. So when I think about this whole term, the gay agenda, the reason I draw a parallel is because there really isn't a gay agenda. The issue is that people are living their lives out in the open, proud, unafraid, and for some reason that offends people, and people want to go back to a time where if you were different, you didn't feel you weren't emboldened to wave your freak flag, for lack of a better term. And so for me, the gay agenda and Make America Great Again, it's really just propaganda that is essentially dog whistles for hate and to really subjugate. Having said that, when it comes to masculinity, to me, masculinity is not defined by what you put on. It's just simply not. Am I attracted to a man wearing a dress? No, I'm not. That's just me being frank. Not my thing, not my bag. Maybe I just haven't seen a man wearing the right dress. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's these patriarchal standards that we live in, these heteronormatives that we live in or exist in currently, that do not give men the permission to express themselves outside of what is deemed traditionally masculine. And for me, attire doesn't really determine masculinity. To me, what determines masculinity, let me tell you how I identify a man. A man is someone who shows up when they say they're going to show up. A man is someone who keeps their promises. A man is someone who is accountable, someone who is reliable, someone who is there when you need them. That's what makes a man to me. And to me, whether you show up in a dress or whether you show up with pants sagging, it's really not the uniform, it's the disposition, it's the character that really, in my eyes, determines how I view a person. Because to be completely frank with you, while being gay may not necessarily be seen as masculine, some of the greatest men that I happen to know are gay men. Granted, they sleep with men, but they are stand-up men who are accountable, who are, men of principle, men who do and who say and do what they promise to do. To me, what is not a man is someone who lays down with a woman and then she calls him up and says, "Hey, I'm pregnant." And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, not my baby. I don't know you." That's not a man in my eyes. But to a lot of people, that wouldn't discount manhood. Creating children that you don't take care of, trying to thwart your responsibility, in a lot of people's eyes, in a lot of men's eyes, would not be deemed, would not emasculate them. And in my eyes, it does. So I guess my definition of masculinity is different. Lying to a woman about who you are, about what you want, about your past, all of those things to me are things that are indicative of weakness. And I don't necessarily associate weakness with attire. I don't associate weakness with sexuality. I associate weakness with character. When you're not able to stand up and live truthfully and authentically, to me, that's weak. If you are, think about this, right? If you are a gay man, an effeminate gay man, who puts on high heel shoes, eyelashes, a beard, acrylic nails, with a full beard and a baseball cap, and you walk out your front door into a world full of judgment, full of persecution, and you say, "I don't give a damn about what any of you think. This is who I am." Do you know how much strength and character that takes? Because it's easy to the status quo. It's easy to walk around with your pants sagging, some dreads, a high tie, a fade, a fitted cap, a jersey, a wife beater. It's easy to be that because nothing about that stands out. But when you are an individual and you go out into this world and you live within the world on your own terms, your own conditions, and you don't change yourself to fit in the world. You allow the world to change to fit you. To me, that is the definition of being a man, because a man is not afraid to be who he authentically is. Um, so having said that, you guys, I'm going to step off my soapbox. I'm really happy. I shouldn't say happy. I'm really excited to hear this new single, What If I Was Gay? I hope it starts some really interesting conversations, some dialogue that definitely needs to be had. But while we wait for the single, comment, share, all that good stuff. You know the drill. As always, in closing, remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. It is me, the Cerebral Diva, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great Friday.